This practice is to move our attention between the space in which all of this is arising, the space of awareness, our consciousness, our being. There are many layers even that we could work with that on. We could work with the physical space that our body is occupying. We could work with the attention, what we pay attention to, what we're not. And then, of course, what we're paying attention to in the foreground, as we'll use that term, foreground and background. In the foreground, we have many layers of that too. So we have the physical body, muscles, bones, digestion, breathing. We have the energy and the movement of our body with the breath. We have the thoughts that are running around, the stream of thought we have. And then we also have the observational thoughts as we move back into that witness position. And then there's more to our experience than that as well. There's also that awareness of that. So during this practice, we'll move back and forth. Very natural for the brain to notice movement and change. One of the reasons why it's difficult to focus entirely on this space, because some change will happen, a thought will come in or something like that, or a itch in the elbow, or some sensation will come in that draws our attention back into the foreground. But we don't have to be always aware of the background. In fact, we want to be living in the foreground, in the moment, and remembering that that's not all there is. So there's lots of room to play with this. No rules about it should be this way or it should be that way. We can't actually be anywhere other than the present moment. It's just that sometimes our attention is on the present moment, and sometimes our attention is on the space. Sometimes our attention is on something coming up in the present moment that relates to the past or the future. So let's relax into the practice. Relax your body, your breath, your energy. And notice the whole space that your body is occupying. From head to toes. And we carry this space around with us. So if you moved across the room, that would become the space that your body is occupying. So it's definitely a mobile concept or space. And within that space, there are different things that catch our attention. There's our sense perception. And our sense perceptions would include hearing, sight if we had our eyes open, touch, warmth, movement of air, all of those kinds of things. It could include internal sense perceptions as well. Our stomach is rolling, or we have a headache, we have a sore back. Whatever it is that's going on inside of our body, we notice that too. And most commonly when we start a practice, we bring our attention into the areas that habitually hold tension. So if we do that with the forehead and eyebrows first, starting from the head, and we'll move downward through the body, through those common places, just to bring your attention to the forehead. Soften all those muscles around the forehead. And notice there's air flowing through the nostrils. And the air feels cooler and drier as you breathe it in, and warmer as you breathe it out. And exhale and inhale for a moment. Just notice that flow over the membranes of the nose. And bring your attention down into the jaw, the tongue, the space above the tongue. Relax the hinges of your jaw so that your jaw can be soft. There's no clenching of teeth. And notice as well there can be a subtle held energy in the mouth, the tongue, the vocal cords, the hinges of the jaw. And notice the process of how this happens. We're paying most of our attention to something. It could be we're paying attention to the mouth and jaw. It could be a little bit of attention is on the bird song in the background. There might be someone else in the house with us. We might hear them moving around. There's all kinds of things that could have a bit of our attention. Or it could be a thought. Our thoughts might be, we might be ruminating about something. There might be some urgency to thought. And so because we've stopped being so active for the moment and we're resting and watching, then thoughts could come up to be seen. And notice all of that. Notice what your experience is in this moment. And notice that you're observing your experience. And notice that we don't observe 100% with our attention. Oftentimes we get distracted by something else. And then we remember and we come back and we're saying, oh, okay, look at this, what's happening. This is what's happening in my body. I got carried away by a train of thought. I noticed that this energy has come up in response to it. Or we might be having a time of the mind is pretty settled, so we're just really focusing on the part of the body. So without really being too absorbed in the content, notice the process. We pay attention to certain things. And then we get absorbed in something, and we come back to paying attention. And then let all of that move into the background. Put your focus directly on the space itself. However that might come up for you is fine. Just notice what it is that's not moving, that's not changing. And as you're noticing that space, at some point your attention will be caught again, and then that will move to the background. Whatever it is that's changing or that you're noticing will move to the foreground. But the space hasn't gone anywhere. You can still touch back into that just by putting your attention on it as well. Notice the forehead and the eyebrows again, the flow of breath in the nostrils, the feeling in the mouth, in the jaw, the front of the throat. Allow them to soften if any of that habitual tension has come back in. And then notice the sides of your neck and shoulders, down through your arms and hands. Many of us have a reflexive contraction through the shoulders and the neck so that our shoulders kind of drop down a little bit away from the ears when we tune into that. A lot of that reflexive hunching of our shoulders comes from the back of the neck, the large muscles of the back. We feel like we're bracing ourselves. For a relaxation practice, we can allow all of that system to go offline for a bit. This is what we're using the observer for in this case. We're observing our experience as it is, and we're also looking to see if there's anything that we actually need to protect ourselves from. And if we don't, then we can just let ourselves know, hey, it's okay. Let's breathe, relax. We're good now. We could take a break. And then go from scanning the environment into paying attention to that space where your back of your neck is, the large muscles of your upper back. Narrow your attention to that space. Notice the space itself, and notice what might be in the space. We could have a sense perception of our back connecting with the chair. And notice if there's anything else in that space, any other energy or image. And then let all of that move into the background and just notice the space. We can think of space in terms of location, the location of our body. And there are other deeper meanings to that as well that can come in. There's the space of awareness or consciousness. There's our being. There's a non-dual awareness of space where there's no separation. There's just the space and everything that's arising in the space. Let yourself play with that for a minute. Just observe what comes up for you right now when you're paying attention to the space. Notice as you're doing that if you can find a you. Can you find a boundary to you? So we have a body and we can sense what the boundaries are to our body. But does it feel like you end at the boundary of your body? Let yourself be aware of the space all around your body. Out into the sky, down into the earth. Our physical body has a location and a boundary. Notice if that's the same in the space of awareness, of consciousness. There's no right or wrong answers. We're really just looking. And notice sensations of the body moving with your breath. It could be in the chest, the lower ribs, the stomach. And while you're noticing that, while that is in the foreground again, notice your forehead, your jaw, your shoulders and neck. Notice the continuity of your breath. the sensations of your body as the feet connect with the floor or your seat connects with the chair. And even as you're paying attention to that, notice what it is that's unchanging, that's still. Let go of any worry about how it's happening or what we're noticing or not noticing. We don't have to do this in any kind of a perfect way. We're just noticing what's in the foreground. There's the bird song again. There's these sensations again. And then we let that move to the background. It doesn't actually go anywhere. It doesn't change space or anything. It's really just our attention that's going on one thing or the other. Let's take a moment to visualize something. Remember the most relaxed that you've ever been in your whole life. Remember where you were. Let yourself really pay attention to all the senses. If it was on a beach somewhere, notice the smell of the salty ocean air, the sound of the birds, the warm sand in the sun. Maybe there are tropical flowers. Let yourself really sink into that experience, whatever it is. Notice your body, how relaxed you feel, what's different when you're really relaxed. Your whole body can settle in, soften. We're completely relaxed. And then let that visualization move to the background. Focus again on the physical present moment experience in your body as it is right now. Notice the softness through the body. See if you can soften it a bit more. Take a few deeper breaths again. And then let that move into the background. Notice the space again. What is it that's not changing? And this isn't a brain thing where we can notice there's a location for it, there's a felt sense of it, the way we feel the space in our body. It's something else. Just let your mind play around with that. Notice what it is that comes up when you let the present moment content go to the background. See if you can hold them both in your awareness. Hold the space itself, paying attention to what that feels like. And paying attention to what's arising in the space. Sensations, sounds, our physical body, the environment all around us. And notice that it's all one. There's no demarcation line between the space and what arises in it. There is the space that never changes, that deep stillness that we can sometimes be aware of. There's our own body, the thoughts in our mind. When we were visualizing being on a beach or wherever that was for you, your body didn't actually go to the beach. Your body stayed here. There was a different experience that was arising in this space. There was a memory of something. And then that affects the body, of course. There's different energy in the body. We have different thoughts coming through. Set your intention that several times during the day, you'll just step back into this. First, we become aware of the present moment in terms of our physical location, senses, that kind of thing. We notice thought, what's happening in our experience. We move back into that perspective of the witness or the observer. And then we let whatever it is we're observing move to the background and observe what it is that doesn't change. And then being aware of both. The space in which it's arising is no different from what's arising in the space. It's all one. And then when you're ready, open your eyes.